Thank you for joining. My name is Grant McDonald. I'll be the moderator for our session today. Welcome to BXC Virtual Exchange. This session is called Enterprise-Wide Security Comes to the Mainframe. A quick note, if you have questions as we go through the presentation, you can submit them in the Q&A area, and we'll either call them out during the presentation if it's something relevant to a portion that maybe Mark is speaking to, or we'll answer them at the end of the session, and we'll allow a few minutes for you to be able to enter in your questions that time as well. Now, with that said, let me introduce our presenter, Mark Banwell. Mark will be talking a little bit about Zero Trust on the mainframe. Mark is part of our product team and also comes from our mainframe services team in the past as well, where he's held numerous roles in both a consultative and a product management function. He also has a lot of background in the financial industry. So with that, Mark, I will hand it over to you.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Grant, for that introduction. So yeah, as Grant says, I am now responsible for our AMI security portfolio. And I want to talk to you today really about the integration of that mainframe security into the overall picture, because it's something that is very, very close to your hearts. And I know that because you've told us that. So let's move on through the presentation. So we don't seem to be able to get the presentation to move. Here we go. So yeah, there we are. So you have told us that managing security across the enterprise is your number one objective. Just get that sorted out. And you've told us that. And so this has come back from our survey of 2022. The overall focus on mainframe security has gone up from 61 to 67% this year. But I think within that story, the really interesting thing from my perspective is that the mainframe teams are being challenged to be more like everybody else and to join in with all the other children and get involved in these enterprise-wide security processes and enterprise-wide security strategies and be part of that. So it's not surprising then that 25% of the respondents put managing security across the entire enterprise. Bringing the mainframe into that is the number one thing that's of interest. And then, of course, preventing and detecting intrusions has got to be part of that. And part of that story of preventing and detecting intrusions is about how do we get that information out off of the mainframe and into our SOC. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So when we look at enterprise security, there are various strategies out there, but one of the more popular and more current strategies at the moment is called Zero Trust. So we're going to use Zero Trust as a vehicle to talk about enterprise security and talk about how we can develop that onto the mainframe. So I guess the first question we need to ask ourselves is, what is Zero Trust? And it's a strategic approach. It's not a tool set. It's a strategic approach to cybersecurity. And what it does, it ensures that the organization can eliminate implicit trust in the organization and continuously validate then every stage of the sort of digital interaction of people. So, you know, I kind of brought that down to one single statement: trust no person or device all of the time. Do not give anybody the benefit of the doubt, and go or trust nobody or no device all of the time. You know, why is Zero Trust popular? It's because as a strategic approach, when we look at the impact that Zero Trust can have on the organization, Forrester has already stated that but you can improve your risk exposure as an organization by up to 37%. In addition to that, by taking this Zero Trust stance, you can create savings within your security budget of up to 31%. So there's monetary savings, and there's increase in the quality of our risk management by taking this Zero Trust stance. So let's explore that sort of Forrester idea a little bit further. So what Forrester have done is they have come up with a really distilled thought process on zero trust, and come up with these 7 key foundation areas of zero trust. Clearly, in the heart of that is the data of the organization. That's what we're trying to protect, utilizing this zero trust strategy. But around the data, we've really got to think about how we are looking at our people, how we are looking at creating zero trust in the workloads, the devices on our network, and the actual network traffic itself. And then how do we automate and orchestrate the processes we put in around this? And how do we create the visibility and analytics we need to take the kind of actions that we need in that zero trust environment? So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to expand that idea slightly and look at how we at BMC have looked at the business use cases and looked at how we can help you implement that zero trust journey on your mainframe so that you are absolutely aligned with the rest of the organization. So let's first look at the data. So we've got to secure that data in the center. That's absolutely critical. And we like to start off our engagements with our customers with a security assessment or a penetration test. And if we do a security assessment or a penetration test, it gives us then a baseline that shows you what your current security positioning is, what your posture is, and then that will enable us to jointly identify how we can improve that posture and drive forward this strategy of zero trust. Obviously, when we produce the reports and we bring in our findings, which are usually very, very comprehensive. We've never done a security assessment or penetration test in the last 15 years where we haven't found some significant issues that need to be addressing. It's just the way of the world. It's a very complex environment. We can obviously utilize our services teams once we've done those tests to help with re-architect or improve the security architecture and remediate any areas that need remediation. And we have a myriad of data recovery tools as well, should we have to deal with the situation where we've got corrupted data or encrypted data that's been hacked by a bad actor. So that's what we do about looking at the data and finding our baseline. When we talk about zero trust, don't trust anybody. We've got a real challenge then looking at our people and thinking about what it is that we enable our people to do. And role-based access is a key area when it comes to managing the people in a zero trust environment. What is it my job title? What is my job function? What are the minimum levels of access to the data that I require in order to do my job most of the time? And that's when we come up with this role-based access system. We can help consult with you on that, and we can help integrate your existing role-based access systems that you have off mainframe onto the mainframe, utilizing our mainframe tooling called Enterprise Connector. Obviously, education is a really important aspect of implementing a zero trust strategy. So we have education and mentoring for your security staff to enable them to better understand how to take on this posture. And then when we're in business as usual, what we really need now is real-time threat detection and response. So looking for bad actors in amongst our staff, looking for bad actors that have stolen credentials from our staff and are going about attempting to elevate their privileges to get to that data in the center. And so we have a real-time threat detection and response offering that enables you to take that to monitor what's going on, spot the malicious behavior, and then give that information straight to the SOC, and also take the appropriate action if necessary. So you can actually knock people out of the system in real time if we see that there's suspicion there. Clearly, big part of having a security posture is to have a set of policies and those policies are your policies are driven down by your compliance environment and your auditors' requirements. And there is a need for constant checking that we are adhering to those policies. One of our customers operates in 53 different legal jurisdictions, and as a consequence of that, every day is audit day for them, every day is compliance day for them. And so they need this this compliance manager to give them a daily report on whether they are compliant, if they're out of compliance, and then they can take the necessary action as quickly as possible to make that happen. Should we also find that there's a problem with a suspicious username or ID on the system, we can then turn on some real-time tracking. So we can start tracking activity of an individual user, tracking the keystrokes on their computer, on their terminal, to make sure that that we can validate and audit what they're doing and check whether that is appropriate or not, and then take the necessary action again. So we've got a number of tools there that help us take a posture with our people that says we are only going to give you the tools you need to do the job that you require to do, and we're going to validate whether it's sensible to give you those credentials or not in that zero trust posture. If we're looking at workloads, we have real-time capture, enrichment, and an analysis of operating system and subsystem data that we feed into our command center product. That gives us a really rich view of what's going on in the system and whether there's any strange things happening there that shouldn't be happening, and gives us a really excellent view of data for us to do our analysis of that. Then we move through to how do we not trust our devices, and you are all aware of the use, the widespread universal use of digital certificates to manage whether we trust a device or not, or trust a service or not. And there are tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of these digital certificates all across our enterprise, and they all need managing in an automated manner in order to be efficient and to ensure that they stay current, and we don't have certificates that expire and then that service is no longer available. In the large majority of cases, that process does not extend onto the mainframe. That process is a manual process, the updating of the digital certificates on the mainframe. And we have looked at that. We've looked at who the market leaders are in this area, and we've created a joint product with the market leader in digital certificate management for major enterprises to extend that service onto the mainframe. So this is how we're bringing our enterprise services onto the mainframe, and enabling your enterprise teams to actually continue to do their role and provide that service in an environment that they're not familiar with, because they are familiar with the tool. And I'll talk a little bit more about that specific use case later on in this presentation. If we look at the networks, so the next thing we need to do is look at the networks. How can we ensure that the networks are as tied down as they can possibly be? And we do that through network micro-segmentation. And again, we have a market leader in this field that we've worked with to create a use case that extends the service that they provide onto the mainframe to enable us to really tie down what traffic goes where on the mainframe. And again, I'll go into more detail about that slightly later. So there we have it. We've got the data. We've got to ensure that we're taking steps to not trust our people, not give them the benefit of the doubt. We need to make sure our workloads are secure. We need to make sure that we know which devices are on the network, that the devices that should be there, and they are returning the fact that they should be there, and we trust them. And we've locked down our network in a really smart, automated manner to allow network traffic to only go down the route it should do, and that then prevents any lateral movement of bad actors that get access to a single function or a single user ID. And I said I will go into that in a bit more detail. So here you see the functions that my portfolio of products and services can bring to the party to enable the Mainframe team to enact this overall enterprise positioning of in a zero trust strategy. Obviously, then the final part is how do we automate and orchestrate that? So we have other tools to support that: privileged access manager, a real-time threat detection and response, and then our self-service password reset tool, all helping to automate some of these BAU services to keep the security admin running. And then we have very high levels of visibility and analytics. We're able to take our Mainframe real-time threat detection and response data, feed it directly into your SIM, and we have a number of compliance dashboards, etc., that help you deliver the information that you need in order to satisfy your regulatory needs. Moving on then, now this is a busy slide, and you'd be pleased to know that I'm not going to start at the top and work my way all the way down through, because we discussed these products and these functions and these services already. But as I said at the beginning, zero trust is a strategy. What we then need is the tactics to deploy in order to make that strategy a successful strategy. So in this case, we're looking at the NIST cybersecurity capability toolchain, where the tactics of how you deploy to deal with threats is we identify the data that we care about. We look to how we're going to protect that data. Then we're going to look at how we detect any attempts to get to that data. If we detect that, then the next thing we need to do is respond. And if the response is unsuccessful, if there has been a breach in our data security, then we need to be able to recover. So identify, protect, detect, respond are the 5 key pillars of the NIST cyber security capability toolchain. And as you can see, BMC's mix of products in the orange and services in the purple have been designed to support you in delivering that strategy. So we, rather than saying, here's a toolbox, get on with it, you can do whatever you like, under my management over the last couple of years, we've been working very closely with our customers to ask them what it is that they are deploying, what are their strategies, what are the enterprise strategies that they're deploying, and how can we then help present our tools and services and products in a way that helps them deliver that and helps deliver success in audits and success with regulators and satisfying that, etc. So that's all this slide is there to say. We have got a good set of solutions, and you may have already had some of these covered with homegrown solutions that you have already, but we have got this set of solutions to help you be successful in meeting these requirements for NIST. And we could look at the MITRE ATT&CK framework. We've got exactly the same strategy moving towards that. So now I just want to dig down deeper on the slide where we looked at zero trust. We looked at device management and we looked at networks. So I'm just going to look a little bit deeper at those, because the other solutions that we have run on the mainframe, look at the mainframe and bring data off the mainframe into our enterprise. In this case, we'll have an enterprise product, in this case Venafi, which is the market leader in digital certificate management. And the enterprise, you will have purchased that product, and you will be looking to sweat that asset as much as you can to get the maximum benefit from it. BMC are unique in that we have developed a product called Enterprise Connector for Venafi, which takes the functionality that you have in Venafi and brings it onto the mainframe. So this can secure all the cryptographic keys and digital certificates on the mainframe and do it in an automated manner. As at the moment, say it is done largely manually, and If a digital certificate expires, then a service is lost on the mainframe until a new one is generated and put onto the mainframe. There are nuances, as we all know, with regards to when we can do maintenance on the mainframe. And because we understand the mainframe, we've taken that into consideration with regards to the Venavi solution. So whilst it can automatically update certificates, etc., we do have a sort of a batch process workflow in there to enable that to happen at a point in time where we wish that to happen in a maintenance window, etc. And then moving on next to our relationship with Illumio. So Illumio is the market leader in the micro segmentation of networks. And what does that actually mean? Well, I look upon it as when I go into work, I come in through the front door of the office. I go to the elevator, I press the button, I go to press floor 6, I go down a corridor to my desk, but past various different doors, etc. And then I might go to the restroom, or I might go to lunch, and there's a certain route that I take. If I install Illumio into my office environment, the next time I come into the office, the only button I will see in the elevator is the one to my desk. The only route I will see and the only doors I will see are the ones that I need to open. All the other doors will have completely disappeared. And so what that means is my journey is channeled in a way that I normally do things, and I am not able to even see other routes that I could potentially take and other things that I could do. And that's what Illumio does. It leverages these network access control lists and turns them off so that the individuals working on the mainframe and services that operate on the mainframe will only go through the prescripted routes that they normally use. And what this does is it establishes a big chunk of it's one of the big rocks of zero trust. It establishes this zero trust constraint on what's going on the network. And it also shrinks the attack surfaces. So a bad actor, if they have my user ID and they've found that by phishing or something like that, they can get on and do what I normally do, but they can't do anything else. They can't move laterally. They can't find other ways to elevate their privileges. So this is a phenomenally important element of our toolbox to help you move rapidly up this zero trust journey. And so if I come right the way back now, so I'm coming to the end of my talk now, and then I'll be delighted to take any questions that we have. But if I come right the way back to the survey where we started our journey, and we looked at what it was that we needed to do in order to, we as BMC needed to do to meet your requirements. If I now add in the tools in our toolbox in my AMI security software portfolio, you can see that we've got some great solutions for every single one of these requirements that our customers have. And that's no surprise, because we put the survey out for the last 15 years and we listen to what you tell us, and this is how we've come to the position that we're in now. So that's my rapid run through how we would implement a zero trust in a mainframe environment. Why would we want to do it? Because that is the policy of the overall enterprise, and we need to bring these enterprise policies into the mainframe. The mainframe isn't an island. It's a functioning part of the rest of the organization, and we need to have the ability to do the same as we were doing in the rest of the organization in order to meet our compliance targets and please our regulators and our customers. So thank you. That is all I've got to say. Now we have some time for questions. Do we have any questions in the chat room, Grant?
I don't think so yet. We'll open it up here for just a little bit in case folks have anything else they want to follow up on. As we do that, just a quick reminder, you can always ping us after the fact. This session will be available on demand later. There's also content located in the resource area at our Mainframe Solutions booth. So if you want a deeper dive on any of the things we talked about, it will be available there. We also have technical account managers there, so they can, give you a deeper dive and kind of a how it works of some of the things that Mark walked you through today. And then lastly, if you would take the time to fill out the survey on this session, we'd love to have your feedback on it. While we wait for any of those questions with a couple of minutes that we have, Mark, I wonder if you might elaborate on one thing. We kind of threw several tools at people here. If they're trying to prioritize a good place to start, or which one is going to probably most rapidly accelerate them towards zero trust, where would you have them start?
Absolutely start at the network. I think if we introduce the Illumio enterprise connector for Illumio solution, that's going to be a big rock in that foundation of moving towards zero trust. So start with the network, then device, network, then devices, and of course the people and the alerts, etc. But if you are short on investment dollars this year, then the thing to do is to invest in that Illumio product.
Okay. And for those maybe who would love to implement some of this, but let's say they don't have a lot of specialists, particularly those that are security specialists on the mainframe and the SOC, what would you recommend they set up for detection and response on their mainframe?
Yeah, so this is something that we've thought through, and I think the challenge across the mainframe industry is this demographic hole, which is from age 30 up through to 50. There just doesn't seem to be anybody around, and of course the more senior people are starting to look at buying boats and retiring to Miami and Florida, etc. And we need a way of continuing to maintain that security stance. Without being able to rely on these people who've been in the industry for 40 years. So we have utilized our people who've been in the industry for 40 years to create the kind of alerts, etc., that they would ordinarily be looking at if they were looking into the mainframe as a penetration tester or security assessment guy, and then included those into our data stream and command center product. So that command center product takes the enriched data that we find on the mainframe. It does a multi-factor analysis on that data, looking for anything that might be suspicious. A couple of simple steps that people may have taken. If they do 3 things in a certain order, we know that's somebody trying to attempt to elevate their privileges. And then the command center then produces just plain English alerts, which are then squirted from command center into whatever CM tool you have, be that Splunk, CyberArk, etc. And then the operators in your global security operations center can read that alert and take the necessary action without having any specialist mainframe knowledge.
Perfect. On that topic, by the way, we do have resources available for mainframe training. So I'm going to pop a link to that in the chat. The other thing I'm going to pop in there as well is some of the data that Mark covered today had to do with the annual mainframe survey, which those of you that have been with us for a while know that this is a big report we do every year. And we're getting to do a readout on that. So there will be a survey or a webinar for the survey that you can register for. There's also a web page that includes some of the resources for that. So if you're interested in kind of doing a deeper dive on the findings from this year's survey, those links are available for you in the chat. With that, I will end our time here. Thanks, Mark. Thank you all who attended, and you should get a follow-up from us as well with a link to this should you want to watch it on demand later.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks all.